All right, so we're back here on another Washington Football Guys podcast, episode 36. It is a victory podcast. 35 days in the 35. We've been waiting for this day for 35 days, but we are here. What's going on, Rob?
Yeah, another victory episode. I'm giving us against the Division 3 New York Football Giants. But any win feels good. It always feels especially against a team like this, the Giants. For some reason, even when they have nothing to play for and we have playoff spots on the line, the in last week of the season in East Rutherford, for whatever reason, they play us
Yeah.
tough and they always find a way to spoil our season. And it looked like that was going to be a possibility today. Early in the game, at halftime, it was 6-0, I think.
Yep.
Even midway through the third quarter, I believe it was still 6-0. Didn't look good at all, but it's we got the job done. It's what we needed to do.
Yeah, and this is our first win against the Giants, and we're at the Giants in 4 years. So this is another one where hey, you'll take these type of wins because hey, it is what it is. The NFL is it's a regardless of the opponent, there's always these are tough games regardless of who you playing and on the road at that. As you can definitely indicative of our schedule, not our schedule, but our record at 7-10. And I'm just like, hey, we got the job done. Great way to end the season. At this point, a 22-7 win, and I found it funny that we put up 22 points.
Yeah,
22
a
is on the
lot of people,
horizons.
have been bringing that up on 22 put up 22 points. So that obviously means we're gonna be the Washington 22s. Whatever that means.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny. It's cool.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's just one of those things where now, and it does feel good just to have a win. Like I said, it's been 35 days since the last time we won a football game. It's a really long time. So, so hey, it is what it is. Once again, just a great win. It was a lot of things. You look at this game that could have, you know, that could have been better. But hey, this is like the final game, last day of school, recess. It's like, I mean. You're just lucky that these guys came up with an effort because I know normally
Yeah,
this is the time of the year that people pack it in. Hence, they always was had that phrase Cancun on 3 because obviously most people are worrying about their vacation and what they're going to do after the season. So that term is always definitely used very loosely,
yeah.
especially this time of year for various teams as well. But so, Rob, what are your takeaways on this 22-7 victory over the New York Football Giants?
It just further cements the fact that Scott Turner he isn't a NFL offensive coordinator right now. We even talked about it, and I said it on Friday on our Friday show that this was his chance to kind of get creative,
Yep.
kind of test some new things out and be not so vanilla. Add a little bit of chocolate to that swirl.
Yep.
And he really didn't. He stuck to pretty much what he's done all season. Fortunately, in the game against a team like this, it worked. It was enough to win, but I don't know if is the quarterback gonna be is that the issue? If he has a quarterback with a stronger arm, will he be able to do more? But then again, this is Taylor Heineke is Scott Turner's guy. He's been a Heineke fan for as long as he's been in the league. He's pretty much been the only person to keep Taylor Heineke employed in the NFL. So you can't really say that. Another thing too, Jamin Davis, he's not a bust. He looked pretty good today. I like he got that fourth down stop early in
Yep.
the game.
Hmm.
He played really well. I think he's going to be, he just needs time to develop. And Taylor Heineke, he's going to be the best backup to ever play this football game. But we definitely we need a quarterback who can throw the ball with better arm strength and can make better decisions.
Yeah. The thing, like you said, and I like you said, as far as when we talked about like there's a lot of factors as far as that things could have went wrong. Like you said, I think that offense once again, like this would have been the perfect opportunity to kind of just be a little like do a little bit more with the offense. some exotic plays, some stuff here and there. Because like even I think it was Chris Myers was on the call and he was saying why not? Like I remember it was like a 4th and 6. Like why not go for it? Because what have you seen from this Giants offense that scares you to a point where even if you was to get them the ball back, you know, what they would have done. So like you said, it's one of the things where you sit back and that's the thing I think that could potentially be Scott Turner saving grace going forward if we do get that quarterback with that arm. Now, if that, but then you think to yourself, you've had that opportunity in Carolina with Cam Newton. You've had that opportunity. The verdict was still out on that and one as well. But like you said, this is it. Like if he, he gets a quarterback that he, as far as we just throw out examples. Not saying that he had a guy like a David Carr as the Derek Carr. God, I don't know why for the life, man, I keep getting them too confused. But anyway, Derek Carr. So if you get Derek Carr and you think about that arm strength of what he got, what can he do in the Scott Turner's offense? And if he becomes vanilla with a guy like him, and you see even what they do in Las Vegas, where they even put guys like Marcus Mariota in certain plays and kind of switch up and kind of confuses things. So to me, like you said, I don't even think regardless of who's their quarterback, because even if you got a guy like a Taylor who is your guy, I don't think his play calling is going to change. And that's the thing that really scares me, where, I can understand if Taylor was a guy that, all right, well, somebody else liked him. Like, say, for instance, Ron liked him and said, well, just take a chance on my guy. But that's his guys. That's Scott Turner's guy. So just imagine this is who he wants as his stereotypical quarterback in this offense. So that's the thing. And like you said, even with the quarterback play today, Taylor went 9 for 18. I think Taylor had 120 yards, which and that's just one of the things. It looks terrible because even in the last few weeks that the Giants has played, Hurts went off. I think because I think Westjig played. Justin Fields played against Chicago. Was it? I don't think Justin Fields was the quarterback, but whoever. But I know Chicago cooked them a few weeks ago. I'm not sure who the quarterback was. I don't want to be out here giving out false information, giving out falsehoods. But they cooked. They cooked the Giants. So that's one of the things where you just look at like, dude, like you said, we always talk about Taylor, backup at best, and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And he would be great, especially for a guy that's undrafted. That's a compliment because if you're undrafted for a reason. Come on, let's keep it a buck. And everybody's whole Kurt Warner scenario, Kurt Warner, but do we have Hall of Fame wide receivers per se like the Rams did? Do we have a Marshall Faulk? So there's a reason. So the whole tone of expectations is kind of like, oh, he could be the next Kurt Warner, but I'm just like, but it's fine for him to be in his element, being the backup quarterback, having the guy come in this year as a veteran. I think we get a veteran quarterback, and they compete for who's QB1. And I think that'll be totally fine. And there's nothing wrong with it. And a good thing, and the beauty thing about with Taylor understands this. He understands what's going on. I don't think if he was, to be QB2, I think he'll be fine with that. And I think even when they were talking to him about, the situation at hand, like, hey, it is what it is. And I don't think he's going to be one of the ones that's going to be like totally upset if he loses his job or whatever, the starting job or whatever. But it is what it is. But hard to be critical on a game like this. I know it's the last game of the season, but these are real concerns which could potentially fester into the next season. So stuff is real. It's this was the recess game, but still there was some points. And I just imagine if we this literally could have been. This could have been a 56 to 14 game if all things was everything was to go into play, because they left a lot of points on the field today. I wouldn't say it was 56 points. I say maybe a good about 36, maybe 42 points that they could have potentially had in this game. And like you said, and this would have been the best time to just go nilly willy. Even like with the Giants did something ridiculous. Remember, it was like 39, and they looked like they were about to take a knee. Remember that
Yeah.
formation? I'm like, what
God.
are y'all doing?
Two,
Like
two straight plays run a
two straight
quarterback
play,
sneak
a
on your own
quarterback
3 yard
sneak.
line.
I was like, what are you doing? And I was like, why are you doing a quarterback sneak? Dude, at first I was like, are they taking a knee? Because at first how the formation was, because they had the two running backs to the right, and I'm thinking to myself, all right,
So it's funny. It's literally on my screen on Twitter right now. I was
yeah,
just scrolled
I
past it.
remember,
It's
yeah.
literally he had two backs, one to each side of him. He's
Oh,
obviously
exactly,
under
yeah, it's right.
center.
Understand, yeah,
And then one guy behind in the middle, a step behind the two backs behind
right,
Jake from State Farm.
yeah.
So and Dan Orlovsky, it's his tweet. He said maybe the most creative call of the season. After we're done, I'm gonna go back and see what
But even with that, even though this is might be idiotic, but they tried something. And that's the thing. I will give them credit. It may look dumb, but they tried it. And I know it's weird, like with Scott, like in a weird way. It's like, all right, initially he was passing like real crazy in the beginning, like those first couple drives, and then like it just really let's like stop because Taylor was on a roll in the beginning,
yeah.
and then it's just like now I can understand this was like if we were playing like Philly, Dallas, or something like that, then yeah, you let that run game just do its thing. But dude, you playing the Giants, just let it go. It's your final game. Hey, let's just see what and build out that momentum for next season. But yeah, it was very interesting. But yeah. So how the game was won? What you got, Rob?
Game was one old school football. Run game and defense. That's because Taylor Heineke. I think you brought it up earlier. He threw. He was 9 of 18, only threw 18 passes. Only completed 9 of them. Threw for 120 yards. But Antonio Gibson, he was in control the entire game. 21 attempts, 146 yards, average 7 yards a carry. That's insane.
Yeah.
Even Williams, 7 carries for 45 yards, 6.5 yards per carry, almost 6.5 yards per carry. Um, so just the Giants couldn't stop a nosebleed today. It was a lot like what we saw against Philly in our first game, but all of our defensive line was depleted with COVID. Um, and then defense is showing up in big moments. Bobby McCain getting those 2 picks, the one to seal the game mainly, and then the other was a pick six, which he read
Oh,
perfectly.
and perfect. Yep.
And I knew he was gonna pick it because even I read it perfectly. Even as soon as Jake Fromm snapped the ball, I knew where he was going with it. And then
Yep.
I see McCain jump the route. He made a break for it and easy pick six.
Yep.
Yeah, our passing game was again completely mediocre. Terry McLaurin was 7 yards away from 100 yard season or 100 yard game. I mean,
Yeah.
old school football, running and defense. It's how we a lot of old heads like for games to be.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, I definitely just to combine 226 rushing yards all together. 32 minutes and 17 seconds for the time of possession, which I always look at those stats. Like, hey, that's how you win football games. Um, Actually, once again, we people say this as a joke, not joke, but people another key was Trust Way. I think what he did as far as those punting situations, he had the 6 punts for an average of 40.8 yards. Two of them that was inside the 20, which is good. And then also he had the longest was 56 yards, especially for a team like this. And I wish I would have brought this up on Friday, especially for we knew how the Giants were as far as offensively, as far as not having the ability to run to not to run, but to move the football down the field. Like it was in certain, I forget. I think it might have been like the Giants game where I think not the Giants game, but the Eagles game where they didn't even get like to the half to their own you know to their own side of the football, like at one point. So you look at that type of situation where you got a guy who's punting those punts and giving at least 40 yards off of a punt, that helps. And you can definitely see how that game really was, because once they kind of got close, that's when they scored. They had one possession where it was, I think they saw it maybe at the 30 or so or whatever. But most of those ones, you gotta think to yourself, like, that's the reason why they only had 7 points,
Yeah,
because they were so back in their in their on they were so backed up. So it's like, and if a team that can't even execute, you know, a at least a 40 some yard drive, you're not gonna get nothing, not get a field goal out of that. You're just gonna get nothing but points. So yeah, I think that was definitely that. And even in a weird way, I know we talk about the offense, but they set the tone early. I think that was kind of one of those things where, hey, even though I didn't, that's another thing too. Those 3 field goals to start off, and I was like you said, a lot of stuff was really too close for comfort, especially considering the fact, like, at halftime it was 6-0, and you thought to yourself, all they really need is one good drive, and they would be in control of this game. So this is,
yep,
it's eerily similar to what we've been doing every week and week in and week out, where we look at so many situations where, look, sometimes we need to trade some of these points in for these field goals into touchdowns because it's too close for comfort. But luckily, the opponent that we had, you know, we got away with that type of stuff.
yeah,
And so that's one thing too, where it's a great win, but then it's one of the things where you know the truth in the win. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that there's, how can I say, you're happy that you won, but it's almost like, if I knew if we were playing another opponent that actually had a good offense and actually had a quarterback that had a decent arm, we'd have lost this football game,
yeah.
like, straight up. Like, so, we got lucky, because I think if Daniel Jones was healthy, it, we could have potentially lost this game.
We probably would have.
Yeah. So that's one thing when you look at it just from that standpoint of, just, we understand the win, and we understand that, look, this type of stuff is just, you can't have this going forward. Like, I mean, as far as going into the next season, where, you know this conservative nature, especially in this situation where you really don't have much to play for, and the simple fact that of your opponent. So, but yo, so it's time to give out some grades, Rob. So,
Well,
uh-huh.
offense gets a D. They
Yeah.
so lackluster again. Once again, just such a boring game plan. Again, Taylor Heineke 9 of 18, 120 yards, a 71.5 passer rating. He was very lucky not to have an intercepted credited towards him. With Terry McLaurin making that big tackle on that overthrow
Yes.
off his back foot. Gibson though alone gets an A+. First 1,000-yard rushing season by a Washington running back since Alfred Morris.
Yep.
Defense gets a B+. They started off slow. I wouldn't even say they started off slow. They held them to 0 points in the first half. They gave up that one touchdown. I think it was Bobby McCain was kind of in no man's land with somebody running a shallow cross, and then he kind of had to make a decision between whether staying with who was it, Darius Slayton, I think,
Yeah.
for the touchdown. Yeah, either staying with Slayton or going with I think it was Kyle Rudolph, the tight end. He made that decision. We lived with it, gave up the touchdown. And then Bobby McCain gets an A. He got the two interceptions like we talked about before, the one pick six and then the interception to steal the game. Um, I guess I'll give one to um, Terry McLaurin as well because he broke 1,000 yards receiving. First Washington receiver to have back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving season since I think 94, 95 or 93,
Right.
94, something like that. So well, and considering the kind of receivers we've had over the years since then, we've had Santana Moss, we've had Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garcon. Uh, who else have we had? We've had pretty good receivers over the years. So the fact that we
Yeah.
haven't had back to back 1,000-yard receivers in about 20 years is weird.
Right. I know, right? Especially when we've had, like, Pierre Garcon, we've had Deshaun Jackson, we've had a lot of
Yeah.
good wide receivers, Santana Moss. Like we've had some good, wide receivers in that, almost 30-year period since that. But yeah. Offense, I'm gonna give them a C. Like you said, I think the only really reason why this grade is a C because of Antonio Gibson. I think what he did, 146 yards, that touchdown, um, that's really was our only saving grace. Essentially, him. I think, like you said, the grade could have been a D or an F if it wasn't for a guy like an Antonio Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, because like we talked about, the quarterback play was atrocious, and honestly, if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, hell, Fromm outplayed him
Yeah.
and managed the 2 interceptions. Because you think about it, he was 15 for 31. He had more, so he was 15 for 31. He had 103 yards. Taylor had what, 100
120.
and 120. So it's like he kinda, I wouldn't say they almost on the same level, minus the turnovers.
I don't know. He threw almost twice as much. So he threw 31 times, completed
Yeah,
15. So
15.
about the same
About the
percentage.
same. Yeah, about the
Um
same. Minus the turnovers.
less yards. He had the 2 turnovers. What's funny though, they both got sacked 3 times. Heineke for
Yeah.
21 yards, Fromm for 20 yards. Jake Fromm's longest pass today was 22 yards. His longest run was 27.
Right.
So they should have just benched. They should have just put Saquon at quarterback and just let him hand off to Jake Fromm because he averaging 10.6 yards a carry.
Yeah. And then at least he got a touchdown. Taylor got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like it. Part of me is like I found it interesting with that. The defense, I give them an A. I think especially that second half shutting them down, and then for the fact of, hey, they only gave up 1 touchdown, which normally in some circumstances, and that's the thing with our defense, is so like, what I always found funny with us is whenever a team has a weakness, it feels like that becomes their strength against us.
Yeah.
Like, so I look at that, and that's, that in that sequence, that, hey, for us to just give up 7 points is great. We actually, got turnovers. So that's one thing too, where we're so accustomed to, that was our 2020 MO, getting turnovers and also getting defensive touchdowns. So Bob McCain, two interceptions, 1 touchdown. And so you just look at it from that standpoint of, hey, I mean, kudos to Bob McCain. He's another guy that, see, that's one thing too. When you think about it, guy like him, who's pretty much, hey, this could be my last game here. I want to show y'all something. So
Yeah.
before, so I want to have some good film. So when it's time to evaluate, do play evaluations, exit interviews, I want y'all to remember, hey, I got y'all out of a tight spot. Y'all was
Yeah.
y'all was 17 to 7. We was only up. It was only up by 5.
Yeah.
I pretty much shut the door on this win. I'm the one that, that literally it could have went either way, because who know, even though they were driving, they were driving in that possession, and hey, who would say what anything could have happened? Could have been a broken coverage. This team, y'all would have been, we'd have been losing. We'd have been losing 14-12. But hey, I got y'all that interception, gave you a cushion, and then it is what it is. But
Mhm.
so I mean, hey, if I'm him, hey, I look at that, and I think we did a great job on stopping them on third down. They were 6 for 17, so that's another one too, where you look at it. Hey, those are the key stats of winning, because we always talk about it every week. The first thing when we get beat, how the other team convert on third down?
Yeah. They convert them a
Always
lot.
convert them a lot. So we always, and it's crazy because we was like, if we even used to have a number like, all right, if you at least get them to about 50%, less than 50%, we got a shot to win. But Cass was like getting 30. I mean, not 30, but Cass was getting like 60, almost 70% sometimes in some of those games. Teams were getting those type of efficiency numbers, and they're like, you're not gonna win this football game. simply by that, because that what that does, that just moves the football. It just bring it doesn't get a defense any rest whatsoever. So you know, but yep. And also special teams, they did a great job. They balled out.
Yeah, special teams, Tressway, especially Troy
Yeah.
Apke. I hope he steps on a Lego when he gets home. Um, I think somebody tweeted. I thought it was funny. It said, "It's nice to see Apke use his 4.340 speed to completely blow a Tressway coffin corner punt because he had the
Yeah.
ball. The ball was beautifully placed. It was just a straight bounce up and down. It kind of rolled, and it was right at in between the 2 and the 1 yard line. And Troy
Yeah.
Apke, he overran
Yep.
it, tried to fall on it, but couldn't hold on
Yep.
to it, and then the ball ended up going over into the end zone
Yeah. I
for
remember
a
that
touchdown. So
play.
that should have been another. They should have been at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, and that could have been another scoring play for us potentially, because like with them, they couldn't convert.
Mhm.
So you put them in short field, hey, they gonna fold. They
Yeah,
was gonna do it. They,
would have made Joe Judge do another 3 quarterback sneaks from the 1.
quarterback sneaks, yeah. 'Cause at first I like that formation for a second. I'm like taking a knee.
I was like, how
Cause it
much
was
time
like
do we have left in this game?
I know, I'm thinking to myself, all right, is this a 2 minute warning or something, or
You
in
know
the
that
quarter?
there. I watched a YouTube video the other day about they 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 did a thing where they basically figured out what the score needed to be for a team to start kneeling like really early,
Mm-hmm.
and like it was something like 17 or 18 points. You start kneeling at like the 9-minute mark. Yeah,
Wow.
it made sense why like
Yeah.
they get into the numbers and yeah, they team up like 18 points can start kneeling at 9 minutes. And
Wow.
I hope that's what we see tonight. I really do hope we just see the Chargers and Raiders to say, you know what, let's just both get in. There's no need for this to really have any drama. The Steelers are already dancing, posting it on TikTok and Instagram. Let's kill their night and just knee it, and then it's how we both go to the playoffs.
Exactly. Cause I'm like, I want Big Ben to go out in a bad way. Cause next week it's gonna be rough for him. Like, but so let's see, we got here. Game ball. So our final game ball of the regular season. Who's getting this week's game ball, Rob?
I'm gonna have to go with Gibson. 146 yards on the ground when Taylor Heineke couldn't put anything together. Finally breaking 1,000 yards on the season, which given we're now in a 17-game season, so it's
Yeah.
not really a big deal like it used to be. Back when Jim Brown was rushing for 1,000 yards, and I think Earl Campbell, I think he played in the 14-game
Yeah.
era, so stuff like that. So it's not as impressive, but considering the fact that what this team is, we're not an offensive juggernaut. The fact that he was able to
Right.
break 1,000 yards rushing, he had 1,000 yards from scrimmage last year, but not the same as him. He's now fully developing into a full time NFL running back. If he can just clean up his protection of the ball, 6 lost fumbles. I think he still leads running backs is unacceptable. If he can clean that up, he could easily be top 2 or 3 running backs in the league.
Yeah, big time. And like you said, yeah. And then you think about it, he did miss some time as well too. So that's another thing too, where like you said, it's not like the 14 game season like we used to have, and all that's concerned. But hey, we're in a different era because people been talking about as far as these records being broke today or tied. I'm like, well, what y'all gonna feel in 2 years, 2 or 3 years when this new deal come up and it's gonna be 18 games? Like how y'all gonna feel about that once because we know it's gonna expand. They know that the success of this 17 game season, and they know they're gonna want 18, and then because that's what's gonna happen. And we all know the play association, what they're gonna do, what they're gonna dangle over them. Oh, less preseason games. Oh yeah, I'll just take another
Mhm.
game. That's what's going to end up happening, and it's gonna make it even. So it won't be a situation where some teams play 9 road games. Washington football team, and some, so just to just keep it real. Some of us played 9 games on the road this year. I'm just pointing that out. But but and they probably would be eventually be to an 18-game season. But yeah, I definitely AG definitely gets I think as far as the game ball as well. But I'm gonna lean with Bob McCain. I think Bob McCain was a guy that was very solid. He was the guy that came to us late. He was the one that we was like, because at first we were kind of leery, because I'm like, all right, why is he getting released from Miami? Once was a team captain. I think he was the team captain under Flores. And we kept on thinking to ourselves, like, okay, why is he getting released? What's wrong? I knew it, like,
Yeah,
you always leery about that type of stuff, because that's just your nature. That's just it's common sense, kind of. But he's came in. I know he had a think. I know, especially in this game, he definitely saved us, because I think he definitely helped with that interception return and those other 2 interceptions. There were the 2 interceptions in this game, so I definitely give him the game ball. Also, Terry. I think even though with Terry, he was 7 yards short of making 100 yards, but he's once again another guy, 1,000-yard receiver, which um, you know, I think one of the biggest priorities for them is to lock him up for an extension, get him a long term
yeah,
extension, because I know people say that, oh, he deserves better. He deserves a better quarterback. Well, yes, I agree with
he
that.
does.
But I think for a guy like him that can stick it out, especially in these tough times like that, he deserves that extension. He deserves, when we actually get the good quarterback, and he could be the biggest beneficiary of it. So I just love his character. I think he's a leader. He's one of those, like, an unsung heroes,
Yeah,
unsung leaders of this team. I think a guy that's just, when we think about diva wide receivers, he's not a diva at all. He's just a guy that just works hard. Another guy, a third round pick that literally people was looking at, oh, maybe he'd be good on special teams. No, like, this man is out as a wide receiver one in this league. And I'm hoping, with us getting the quarterback in the offseason, that and people can really start seeing what Terry really is. I mean, we know about Terry,
yeah,
but a lot of people don't, because obviously there's other wide receivers in this game that that put up more yards and more but Terry is I think, is among those type of guys. It's just the issue is the quarterback. So
yeah,
to me, having this type of situation where he's had really 3 quarterbacks this year, and God knows how many he's had since he's been here. I mean, my goodness, I don't even really want to go over the list, because I think we'll be here all day as far as how many quarterbacks he's had since his rookie year. But I think once we get that quarterback, and I think people really start seeing what Terry really is. And I think Terry is a guy that I think, I want him here for the long term. And I don't care what other people say. Oh, he deserves better. He need to go somewhere else. No, as a guy like that on my team, I want him here. So get this man an extension.
yep. Get him an extension. I don't. If I was him, I wouldn't though. I honestly just with there
Yeah,
still seems to be no real direction.
yeah.
We still don't have a quarterback. This draft class is not anywhere near. 'Cause I don't even think what was last year's draft class. Who were the rookies
In
last year?
2021 draft,
Yeah.
you had T Law, Zach Wilson,
Oh yeah,
McCorkle,
and
um,
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance.
So yeah, you had opportunities to maybe go up and get somebody. What was the price going to be? Obviously that's another big factor, but made no moves. We made a move in the offseason. That's what a lot of fans need to remember. We did make a move in the offseason that we thought could be a good bridge quarterback
Yeah,
for
yep,
1, maybe 2 years, depending on how it went. And with the way the team was built, we really thought that um, Fitz could, potentially get us, another division title and get us into the playoffs and maybe win a game.
yeah,
This year, Ron, the tricky thing is, so Ron is now he's entering his third year of a 5-year deal. He has no quarterback. Let's say he does get somebody like a Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis. And does he have the remaining 2 years or 3 years really? Yeah, years 3, 4, and 5
Yeah.
to develop him, or does he stick with maybe Taylor Heineke as a starter? Does he re-sign Fitz to try to get him for at least a year, and then develop? And let's say we go another 6-11, 5 and well, whatever the record has to be. If we don't do well, if we regress and we lose more games this season, next season than we did this season,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
I don't see him staying, and so now you're back to square one where you were at with Rivera coming in, where you have a new coach come in with a quarterback that he didn't pick in his second year that maybe doesn't fit his system even remotely. So there's another wasted first round pick. It's a vicious cycle that this team has been in for the past 25 years.
Yep.
So it's very. I would still say Ron Rivera's on the hot seat if he doesn't win at least 9 games next season. But it's going to be very interesting to see what they do quarterback wise, because if the Raiders end up, let's say they do win and they make the playoffs, I don't think Carr is available anymore. I don't think he's available for trade anymore. I think they're going to stick with him, or they might wait till they get their new head coach and see what they want to do from there with Derek Carr. Russell Wilson, I think he's already said he doesn't want to come to Washington. If Aaron Rodgers wins the Super Bowl, I don't think he's leaving Green Bay. They'd have to lose in the divisional round for him to leave. I think even a close loss in the NFC title game, I think will have him kind of iffy. I think he'll be willing to sit and talk with management, but other than that, there's not really anybody to. There's nobody really to trade for. The free agent class isn't going to be great. You got maybe Jameis Winston out there who might actually be the best free agent quarterback available. You want to take the risk on him? It depends, but it's going to be really interesting to see what Ron Rivera does this offseason, especially regarding the quarterback position.
Yeah. I think what he has to do, and I think he's gonna have to get a quarterback and fix this situation quickly. I don't think he's gonna get the whole entire 5 years, especially considering the fact that you know he can't have three losing seasons. Like to me, I just think that's uncalled for. Especially considering the fact that it's almost like you're here for us to win. Like you even you can't take losing because obviously you look at just the scenario what you got in this division. People say, "Oh, well, the NFC East is trash. It's the worst division," but we got two teams that made the playoffs.
Yeah,
We got two teams that have improved drastically. We looked at Dallas. Dallas was a situation last year. They had by far one of the worst defenses in NFL history. Look what they're doing now. They turned it around real quick.
yeah,
Philly's another one. Philly was the worst team in this division last year. People looked at them like, oh gosh, they're going to be the worst team in this division. And where they at? They're in the playoffs. So, and I don't. And do you count? You obviously you do count 2020, but and albeit it was a losing season.
yeah,
So the thing is, I don't think he has the time to get a quarterback and develop him for like a 1 to 2 years. I don't think he has enough time to develop, especially the way the NFL is at this point. I think he has a roster that is ready to be a playoff caliber team. It's missing its quarterback. And obviously, you look at this. If you look at that graphic at that game and you see how many quarterbacks we've had since 2018, like that's crazy. Like I think we've had like at least about 10 starting quarterbacks
yeah.
in a matter of 3 years. We got a guy in Pittsburgh. He's been their quarterback for 18 years.
Right.
We've had we've New England had their quarterback for 20 years. So just imagine, you look at all those situations and like to me, I just feel as though hey, he's got to have a winning season and he's got to get a veteran quarterback and try to see what he can do for there. Then from there, then let the pieces fall as they may.
Yeah.
But he got to go for it. He literally has to be a riverboat Ron, a riverboat gambler this offseason because he's on the line because I'm telling you that I don't think Snyder gonna take these, three consecutive. Well, ain't even really three. I don't even remember last time we had a winning season. It's been what, 2015? Well,
16,
no,
the
six.
2015-2016 season, I think.
I think, yeah. So then on top of his losing record in Carolina, coupled with potentially three consecutive losing seasons here, it's not gonna cut it. Like, even, we joke and say, well, why Jay was here. Jay, in one of his situations, had you know he actually had a winning season.
Yeah.
So that's what kept him here. So, and that's the thing where here is like, hey, he got a short leash. This is it for him. If he don't take care of business in 2022, we could definitely see this guy essentially being let go.
Yeah.
Because nowadays things happen, and especially the way the NFL is set up. And you think about it, like, it's so many teams that have turned their franchise around in just a year. A year makes a difference.
Yeah.
And do you want to be like the Giants to have 5 consecutive losing seasons? You want, so do you want to be like them, or do you want to be like Dallas, or you want to be like Philly, who can just come out of nowhere and make these runs and make the playoffs? Because it's all about making the playoffs. It's all about making the postseason. It's all about putting a good brand of football on the field. And as we always talk about, oh, we get caught up in the name change and all that. We still got to win some football games as well.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a hell of an off season. We're gonna figure out a lot of things about this team going forward. It is gonna be some stuff that needs to be ironed out. And like we said, and it's funny we talked about this. And it's funny that we talked about this in the bad week, because we kept on saying, hey, this is a moment. These next few games are gonna let you know, hey, what type of team that you got.
Yeah.
And the same thing holds true now. You're a 7-10 team. You match the same wins that you did last year. We got to do something different. Albeit you did do some improvement. The team, I think, in my opinion, was a little bit more talented than the 2020 team, but you got to do more. It's more, because everybody else is looking past us. We're in third place. Like, you know, so it is what it is. But yeah, yes, shout out to Kenneth. Yeah, it's going to definitely be a victory now.
After this season, we need one.
Yeah, we definitely need one. Yeah. And poor Giants, man. That's another thing too, where, hey, it is what it is. I'm very happy for this win, but yeah, big time. So, Rob, definitely let's put a bow on this week's Washington Football Guys post game, social media and upcoming projects. What you got?
You already know where you can find me, FNC Pod on Twitter, Football and Chill Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Also, Football and Chill Pod on TikTok. I post there every now and again. Nothing big in the near future. Obviously, starting up our not just myself, but everybody here at the network. We're starting up our draft coverage. I'm gonna try to focus on quarterbacks a little bit. I know they're very hard to evaluate, but from where I'm at right now in my current, just immediately at the end of the season, trade back, get a couple more picks, and get Desmond Ritter late in the first round. I think is the route that I kind of want to go. But again, that goes with, I got to look at Desmond Ritter a little bit more. But other than that, nothing in the near future. Just stay tuned for everything that we got going on over at Off the Ball. Go subscribe to our Substack. We moved everything up to there over to Substack. It's a lot easier to manage, a lot easier to read. So go check everybody out.
Yeah, definitely huge shout out to everyone. Also, huge shout out to our good folks at Built Bar. Head over to Built Bar. Use our promo code Off the Ball. Get yourself 10% off discount. Actually, I got some coming through the way. I got some cookies and cream coming. Should be here midweek. So definitely can't wait to get into those. Also, shout out to Bet Us, Bet Us. Head over to betus.com. Use our promo code Off the Ball, so where you receive 125% sign up bonus. And also, they offer the fastest payouts in the industry. So head over to betus.com. Use our promo code Off the Ball. You get 125% sign up bonus. So think about it like this: if you put up 100, they're going to give you $125. So simple math is that. So hey, why not head over there and use our promo code off the ball? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram on the Couch Coach Live. We do shows at this point probably Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, the season finale of Overreaction Monday tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Other things that are going on. I think that is it. But also, just follow us on social media for updated content and what have you. We got some stuff coming down the turnpike as the NFL postseason starts, and all that concern. And we're hitting the offseason hard on the Watch the Football Guys podcast. We'll be back on not Sunday, back on Friday to officially put a bow on the 2021 season as far as our overall thoughts and just to wipe away clean this this season. And I don't know about you, you like you're a Desmond Ritter guy. I'm a Sam Howell kind of guy. I think you muted, Rob. Yeah.
You are, and I knew you would be. And I literally just asked somebody earlier because he even said he wants Sam Howell, and I was like, why? Like, why?
I like
And
Sam
the answer
Howell.
was, oh, he has an arm. All right, lots of quarterbacks have arms.
I think
Like,
he's tough. Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
like
he's
him.
I think he's tough. I think it's funny because he's a okay. I'll just hear me out. To me, he reminds me a lot of Baker Mayfield, but a controlled Baker Mayfield. I'll put it that way. I know that sounds crazy, but I think he's more of a controlled Baker Mayfield. I don't think he's going to be reckless as far as how he is, as far as his throws and stuff. I think he's like I said. I think he has a hell of an arm. He does have that ability to kind of move out the pocket. So he's kind of one of those guys that I think he's tough. I really this year was didn't really this year was kind of rough for him because I mean you think about it, he lost all of his weapons. I mean you think about Diami, he lost Diami, he lost Dez Newsome, that's with the Bears now, and then Jonathan Williams, and then Michael Carter as well. So he lost a lot of those guys. So to me, I think he would be a solid quarterback. He does have the moxie of a Baker Mayfield, but more of a he's more like you said. He's not as not I hate to say that Baker's not vulgar, but Baker is kind of one of those guys that Baker is Baker, but I think he's more of a controlled version of him, like a more of a from every standpoint, personality wise, I think he's a little bit more polished, and especially game wise, I think I think he'd be a lot smarter, and I think he would go good in our offense because I think that offense, as far as our O line, because you look at what Carolina O line, which was atrocious this year, so I think he could definitely have that ability. But my biggest fear is with Scott Turner. That's my biggest thing. Is like, okay, like you said, if you get the quarterback, then if Ron gets fired, then somebody's gonna be stuck with this particular potential quarterback that we have. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like you said, when it comes to Scott Turner, I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that because I'm almost like whoever comes here, I'm like, I just hope that they can work together and sync, and he can develop a good game plan for him.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing because whoever's here, they need obviously Scott Turner is going to be an integral part of whoever is his quarterback going forward. So obviously he's the OC, and it's just boy, like who career he's going to mess up. Gosh, I hate to say that out loud, but it's just like who he going to ruin this time. Man, we should bring back Kevin O'Connell, but
We
I'm
should.
leaving it alone.
We should.
But I'm supposed to stay in a child play sometimes, but I'm grown. Let's get Kevin O'Connell back.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
I
I was just thinking about him the other day too. I couldn't remember his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember what his name was, but I remember
Yeah.
he was promising. What he been up to?
I think he's still with the Rams. Yeah, he's still with the Rams. I think my memory serves correct because and the only reason why I'm saying his name out because now I'm starting to see a lot of people he gonna interview. I know like Carolina's looking at him as a potential OC. So his name has been rumbling a lot. Far as coaching coaching hires, especially I know he's on like the top list for Carolina as their OC. So I like, hey, bring him back because I know,
Bring him back.
and because all he was the last of our young talent that left,
Mm-hmm.
and and then it's just like it was just like, well, it's just not gonna work out. I'm like, cuz we ain't got no quarterback. Like you can't, I mean, you can't expect what he's doing, but yeah, I think he's back with the Rams.
Yes.
Yeah. And look what they're doing. I don't care what nobody say. Hey, they're on the verge of becoming maybe a 12-5 team, or even 12 and even they lose, they 12 and 13 and 4 if they win, which I predicted the Rams be 13 and 4. So I hope that does happen. But yeah, just bring us. That's a thing too, and that's another thing too. When you look at Ron's, you like his loyalty, but then it's to a fault
Yeah.
because it's like we need to bring some new blood in.
Yeah.
But
We've had our fun with Scott Turner. It was a cool little experiment. Because the whole thing when he was in Carolina with Cam, he didn't get a full season as the OC. He also didn't have Cam, I don't think, for the last part of his when he was OC.
Yeah.
So, we've had the fun with him. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Get him out of here. Get Kevin O'Connell. Throw the Brinks bag at him. Go pick up a new defensive coordinator. Let's see if we can go get a quarterback in this draft or trade for one. We'll see.
Yeah, because I was like Vic Fangio out here in these streets.
Yeah.
I'm like, think about that 2018 Bears team, that turnover margin and how good they were. They made my boy, my nephew, Mitch Joe Montana Trubisky, look all right. So as far as because they had a lot of turnovers, and that's how essentially how they made the playoffs that year off those turnovers, and almost eerily similar to how we were in 2020. So hey, Vic Fangio might be in the streets. Hell, even Zimmer might be out. I'm like, dude, this is a rare occurrence where you got two solid defensive coordinators that ain't gonna have no job. They're gonna have a job real soon. Like I guarantee they probably gonna have a job by the end of the week, both of them, as a DC. For certain. But yep. So so that puts a bow on this week's Washington Football Guys post game episode 36, the Sean Taylor rookie edition.
Yep.
Yeah, so we here, and so we'll be back on Friday, and we'll talk about the season in review. We'll put it that way.
Yep. Do a season review of this Washington season. Also, obviously looking back on our first season doing this podcast.
Yeah,
it's been a hell of a ride. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, it's been fun, and it's funny to think it is. If I find it so weird that the season is over, and I remember even when we like from the jump, like I talked about on Friday, where we were just really excited, like once the season started, and just all this type of everything. We were just excited about all the news and everything that was just circling around. We training camp when they was here in Richmond, then training camp. Then just everything that happened in this season. It's funny. It feels like it's been like 2 years worth of drama off the field.
Yeah.
So it's been a very interesting season to say the least. But hey, we powered through. So yeah. But yep. So we will be back here on Friday and discuss the 2021 season and more of us, because we got to give ourselves some time to kind of marinate all this, because today, going off the emotions, I'm like, it might be a little rough. But hey, we're gonna give ourselves 5 days to be like, okay, now with a clearer head, no emotions. Well, it still will be emotion, especially with me. It will
Yeah.
be always be emotion with me when it comes comes to the Washington football team, aka the Commanders or whatever we are. But it's always gonna be it's gonna be a little bit of insight, but a little bit emotional on my end.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's put a bow on this one, and we'll catch you guys on Friday. This has been this week's Washington Football Guys post game show, and we are out.